Hello, my name is Hans George Campbell. I have fond memories of living in New York City in the 60s. I remember when I was a boy, during the Christmas season, I would see these beautiful lessening Matchbox cars in the dealer display cases. I never will forget those. And my mother, she never bought me any of them. You know, she thought that they were a waste of money, and only stupid kids played with, you know, these little toy cars, you know. And so I never got those when I was young. And I always envied the other kids that I saw playing with them. You know, they had them, you know. And a few decades later, around 1990, I was in this bookstore, and a magazine, the front cover of a magazine caught my eye. It was a toy collecting magazine, and on the front cover it had a picture of all these different Matchbox cars from the 50s and 60s, and it said something like the history of Matchbox, or the history of lessening Matchbox, or something like that on the front of the magazine, you know, the front cover of the magazine. And so I bought it, and I took it home, and I read, you know, the article about, it was mainly about the history of lessening Matchboxes, and how it showed pictures of how they were made, and how they were painted, and the paint jobs were actually baked on during that time. I mean, they were baked on. The cars were very nicely made. I mean, they had moving parts. They had things like drivers in the driver's seats, you know, and they had like little dogs maybe looking out the rear window, or, you know, they came with different accessories, or they had doors that opened up, or hoods that opened up. I mean, they were really cool, you know. Like the pony trailer actually came with 2 horses that you could put inside the pony trailer. I mean, things like that was just really cool about the old lessening Matchbox vehicles. And a few days later, a friend of mine was telling me, he told me how they were having a sale at the local bookstore. And so we went down there because he wanted to buy some books, you know. And I saw this one Matchbox book down there. It was a hardbound book, a hardcover book. Again, about the history of Matchbox vehicles, lessening Matchbox. And it was about, I'd say about 3/4 of an inch thick. And it was about, you know, this wide by about this tall. It was a pretty good sized book. And I think it was on sale for like $20, and my friend bought it for me. He actually bought it for me because he knew how much I loved Matchbox vehicles. So, yeah. Well, anyway, after reading that toy collecting magazine and the hardbound book, this was in like around 1990, I decided to collect the old lessening Matchbox vehicles. And so, you know, the first thing I did was I bought a nice, it was an acrylic display case. They were made and sold by Gaiavani Plastics, and they were very nice. The one that I bought was a 56 car display. It had a mirrored back on it, and they're actually very nice. They had a dust roof cover that was hinged and it was closed. You could lock it in the front, you know. They were very nice. And then I went to some of the local antique shops and found a few of the lessening Matchboxes that way. But most of the the Matchboxes I found on eBay. Just looking through eBay for months and months and months and looking for the vehicles that I wanted. And I wanted each one with its original box. I was a stickler on that. I wanted the original boxes for each vehicle. And I'd say within a year's time, I had a real nice regular wheeled Lesney Matchbox series collection. I think I had enough to fill 2 of those Gaiavani 56 car acrylic display cases, to give you an idea of how many that I had gotten within a year's time. Well, I display like the vehicle and then the box underneath, the vehicle, then the box, vehicle, then the box, and it worked out pretty even, in those display cases, and it was a very impressive looking display. And I really admired those. I mean, every day while I was having my coffee, or at night when I was drinking some hot tea or some hot cocoa or something, I would stand there in front of my display cases and I would really admire those old Lesney Matchbox vehicles, because I thought they were beautiful. They were like a work of art. Even the boxes, I mean, they were artwork on the front of those boxes. A lot of those boxes, the artwork was, I believe, hand-drawn. So it really was a thing of beauty and a work of art. Each one of those Lesney Matchbox vehicles, they were very nice. The following year, I started buying and collecting the Lesney Superfast Matchbox vehicles. Again, each one with their original boxes. I wasn't trying to complete sets. I've never been a set type of person. I never had the set mentality. I just mainly bought the vehicles that I liked, that I thought were very nice. And I wanted each one in mint condition with a box that's also in close to like new condition. And so I had quite a large assortment of those Lesney Superfast Matchboxes as well. And then the toy collecting hobby kicked in, and every time Dick and Harry was running out there buying toys, and of course the Diecast collecting hobby was in full swing by then. This was like around 1992, I believe. And so yeah, I started collecting the 3 3/4 inch GI Joes with the different vehicles and everything, and I started watching the cartoons in the afternoon. It was kind of fun to watch the cartoons, because I had the figurines in my curio cabinets, I also collected the GI Joes, the 12-inch GI Joes. I started collecting the old Superman and Spider-Man comic books, the ones back when they were sold for like 10 cents and 12 cents each, and I had each one in a Mylar bag hanging on the wall, like around I think they were hanging around my dining room, living room, about 1 inch below the ceiling. You look up there, you can see all these old comic books in like mint condition, and oh my God. I mean, within a few years' time, my whole apartment looked like some damn, die-cast vehicle and toy collection museum or something. It got crazy. It got way out of hand. I mean, I remember before I sold my collections that I literally had a few thousand die-cast vehicles. I had Matchbox. I had some of the original Hot Wheels, the Redline Hot Wheels in mint condition. I had Lido. I had Tamika. I had Johnny Lightnings, including some of the original Johnny Lightning cars. Johnny Lightnings. Oh yeah, I collected racing champions. They had some beautiful race cars. And I remember fist fights breaking out in the aisles, Toys R Us aisles, and the Fred Meyer aisles, and a lot of the local stores. grown adults fighting over these Hot Wheels cars, like the treasure hunt cars, and some of the collectible Matchboxes, and some of the collectible 12-inch G.I. Joes and things like that were sold exclusively at Target and KB Toy Store and all that, and even the Barbie dolls. You know, women fighting over these collectible Barbie dolls that only came out during the Christmas season, you know, certain times of the year, you know, and oh my God, so bad that Target, well, my local Target here in Oregon, the Targets here in Oregon, they refused to carry any more toys that were considered collectible items because they had so many fist fights. I mean, so many fights breaking out in the aisles, especially the toy aisles. You know, and Toys R Us, same thing. Bloody fist fights breaking out in the toy aisles, especially the Hot Wheels aisle. Oh yeah, fist fights breaking out over these. You know. Well, anyway. Toward the end of the 1990s. The 1990s is known as the toy collecting and the diecast collecting decade, because that was the decade that most of us collected that type of thing. You know, it's not as popular today as it was back then during the 90s. You know, and what happened was, okay, during that decade, each month I go to my bookstore and I would buy, there were several toy collecting magazines, and there was diecast collecting magazines, you know, Hot Wheels and Matchbox collecting magazines and stuff like that, you know. And little by little, toward the end of the 1990s, I say early 2000s, little by little, I noticed that the bookstores stopped carrying the toy collecting magazines and the diecast collecting magazines. Now keep in mind that these magazines sold out as quick as they got them in. So there was no problem with them selling. Why would they all of a sudden stop carrying those magazines? And that's when a light bulb went off in my head. That's when it hit me. That's like when I saw the writing on the wall. That the diecast collecting hobby and the toy collecting hobby was going to crash. The markets were going to crash. Yeah. And so I sold my entire toy collection and my diecast collection for about twice what I paid for everything. And I considered that good because, you know, I enjoyed the diecast collecting and the toy collecting hobby for about 10 years. Well, actually a little over 10 years, about 12 years. And yet I managed to sell all of it for about twice what I paid for everything. So I did make some profit on everything, you know, and plus I enjoyed the hobby. But yeah, about 8 months later, 8 to 12 months later, about a year later, sure enough, the diecast collecting hobby or market and the toy collecting market crashed big time. And all these diecast vehicles and these toys that people had bought during the past 10 years or whatever, all of a sudden they were worth nothing. They might have been worth maybe 5 or 10% of their original value. And what happened is that so many businesses and so many manufacturers were trying to get in on the toy collecting hobby and the diecast collecting hobby that they just saturated the market. They overly saturated the market with product. And collectors could not buy the stuff fast enough. They could not collect the stuff fast enough. And so many collectors, I say most collectors, they got burned out, they got fed up with it, and they just stopped buying. I remember when that happened. And so, lucky for me, I saw the writing on the wall, and I sold my collections way before the market crashed. You know, both of those markets crashed. And it's never recovered. Even today, I notice, I've just spent the past few days on eBay checking the current values and the current sold prices of Matchbox vehicles and Hot Wheels vehicles, and they're not selling for anywhere near what they sold for back in the 90s. I mean, yeah, the market's never recovered. Okay. The one thing that I do regret selling my Lesney Matchbox collection. If I had to do it all over again, I would have never sold those, because I still love the old Lesney Matchbox vehicles. I think they're just really nice, you know. And so I've decided to get back into the hobby of collecting strictly Matchbox vehicles, mainly Lesney Matchbox. But I'm also going to show a lot of the newer Matchbox vehicles that come out each month. Here's the thing though. About 95% of all diecast vehicles suck. And this is true for both Matchbox and Hot Wheels. About 95% of all diecast vehicles suck. They're ugly, and most of them, they're plastic with some metal parts. In other words, they're garbage, they're crap, they're junk. Don't waste your money on them. Okay? But it's that remaining 5% of the Matchbox vehicles, those are the ones that I consider desirable Matchbox, hence the name of this channel. And those are the only Matchboxes, besides the old Lesney Matchbox vehicles, that I'm going to show and talk about on this channel. Now, I also plan on showing, from time to time, I plan on showing other diecast vehicles, like older Hot Wheels, and Tamika, Lido, Johnny Lightning, you know, other name brand diecast vehicles, if I think they're nice enough to show you guys on this channel. But this channel is mainly devoted to Matchbox vehicles. I've always felt that Matchbox is superior to Hot Wheels, and I still believe that even today. I still believe that. Now, granted, back in the 60s, early 70s, Hot Wheels, they were faster. They were the fastest metal cars you have ever seen. I never will forget that commercial when I first heard it. Never will forget it. The Hot Wheels. The original Hot Wheels commercial from 1968, I believe, is when the original 16 Hot Wheels was released. And the commercial went something like this. These are the fast ones. Mattel's new Hot Wheels. The fastest metal cars that you have ever seen. And oh yeah, when I heard that, my eyes were glued to the TV. I was watching these cars and their beautiful Spectra Flame paint jobs. And I saw how fast they were, how much faster they were to the Matchbox cars. But were they superior in quality? No. The honest answer to that, no. Matchbox was still superior as far as quality to Hot Wheels, and even to this day. Many Matchbox vehicles are a lot nicer than Hot Wheels. Okay. This is especially true with the older Matchbox compared to the older Hot Wheels. I collected both, so I'm talking from a neutral standpoint. I'm talking from someone that has collected both for many years. And so this channel is mainly devoted to the Matchbox vehicles, both old and new. I'll be showing a lot of new vehicles. Now, I have watched a lot of Matchbox related YouTube channels, and most of them seem to be about people just opening up a case, like a 24 count case or a 50 count case, and just pulling out the cars and showing all of them. I'm not going to do that. I don't think that's a very good way to present the vehicles or to show the vehicles. And also, I don't want to waste my viewers' time by showing ugly vehicles, a lot of ugly vehicles. Because like I said, about 95% of all new Matchbox vehicles, and this includes Hot Wheels, they're ugly. They suck. They're a waste of money. Don't buy them. So on my YouTube channel, I'm only going to show the Matchbox vehicles that I think are really nice. That remaining 5% that I think are desirable Matchbox vehicles. Those are the ones that I'm going to show. Okay? Including some of the 5-packs and the 9-packs and 10-packs and things like that, you know. I'll show those too. Because a lot of those, well, some of them, Mattel will produce a 5-pack that's actually very nice, and I'll be showing those, you know, whenever I find them. But yeah, okay. I have some advice for those of you that are thinking about getting into the diecast vehicle collecting hobby. Okay, this is coming from someone who is an experienced collector, someone who has done it for many years. And my advice is, okay, if you're going to be buying these Matchbox vehicles, or Hot Wheels for that matter, to resell them, with the plans of reselling them, or the intent to resell them to make a profit, or to flip them, so to speak, you know, my advice is to sell them soon after you buy them. Yes, you heard me right. Okay? You have to understand something about collectibles. Just because something is old or vintage does not mean that it is valuable or collectible. Yes, you heard me right. This is so important, I'm going to repeat it. Write it down if you have to. Just because something is old or vintage does not mean that it is collectible or valuable. Okay? There are two things that makes something valuable or collectible. The first thing is supply and demand, where the demand is higher than the supply. Okay? It doesn't matter what it is. When that scenario occurs, or when that happens, then the value of that item goes up. And it goes up according to the demand and how much supply there is, how much of the product is available. Okay. The second thing that determines the value of something is how hot the item is. And what I mean by that is how many people are looking for that item. How hot is that item? How many people want that item? How many people are out there looking for that item? Okay? Now, in general, items only stay hot for a few months after they're released. No more, usually no more than 6 months. Okay? Once the newness wears off, then people are no longer wanting that item. They're looking for the next and best item. They're looking for the new items that have come out. Okay? So that's why it's important that if you're going to be buying Matchbox, or Hot Wheels for that matter, with the intent to resell them, don't wait, thinking that the longer you hold on to them, the more valuable they're going to become. No, that's not true. It's actually better to sell them as soon as you can, right after you buy them. You may think, well, God, I paid $1 for them, or I get them on sale for $2 for $1. You know, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry on eBay is selling them. How can I make a profit? Trust me, you will. I average, I pay about $1 or less for each Matchbox, for instance. And I can sell them on eBay for between $5 and $12 a piece. Every day of the week. Any day of the week. Because you have to understand something. Just because a Matchbox vehicle is plentiful in your neighborhood, or even in your city or state or country, does not mean that it is plentiful in other countries, other cities. Okay? And those are the people that are going to be looking for these. Those are the people that are willing to pay the money for them. So it's important when you resell Matchbox or Hot Wheels, okay, on eBay, that you sell them worldwide, not just the United States. Because you'd be surprised how many people from other countries are going to be buying your Matchboxes or your Hot Wheels. Okay. Now, for those of you that want to collect Matchbox or Hot Wheels because you enjoy them, you like looking at them like I do, you like admiring them, you think they're a work of art, they're beautiful or whatever, you know. Here's my advice to you. Number one, only buy what you like. Okay? That's the first rule. If you really want to enjoy the die-cast collecting hobby, only collect what you like. Number two, do not worry about sets. Trying to complete the whole set. You have to get out of that mentality. The companies that produce these die-cast vehicles, and they created the whole set thing because they knew that many people would have that set mentality. They have to collect all 75 vehicles or all 100 vehicles to complete that set. No matter how ugly the vehicles are, we gotta have those vehicles because they're part of that set, don't you know? No, don't do that. And believe it or not, Lesney is one of the companies that started that with their 1 to 75 series. Collect them all. And you'd be surprised how many companies now, they use that same slogan, that same advertising gimmick. Collect them all. They're so collectible, don't you know? They'll be worth a lot of money in the future. That's the third rule. Never buy your Matchbox or Hot Wheels vehicles thinking that they're going to be worth a lot of money in the future. Because you'd be surprised, they're probably not going to be worth that much at all. The only reason why they're selling for big bucks now is because they're still new. And the newness has not worn off. You have to understand the way people think. Okay? But if you really want to enjoy the die-cast collecting hobby, there's 3 rules you have to abide by. Number one, only buy what you like, what you think is nice, that you personally like. Okay? Number two, get away from the set mentality. Do not try to complete the set. Because like I said before, about 95%, yes, it's that high, about 95% of all modern Matchbox and Hot Wheels vehicles suck. They are ugly. And most of them are made out of plastic with a few metal... Wait, I think this is how they word it on the packaging. Made out of plastic with some metal parts. Yeah, they're basically crap, they're junk, they're garbage. Don't waste your money on them. Okay? And that's exactly what you would be doing if you get that set mentality. And you have to have every vehicle, every car in the set. Do not fall into that set mentality. That's what these diecast manufacturers want you to do. Okay, don't do it. And number 3, never buy your diecast vehicles thinking that they're going to be worth a lot of money in the future. Don't do that. Buy them because you like them. Because you think they're cool. And you could see them. You could see yourself taking them out of the package. Yes, you heard me right. Take them out of the package and put them into one of your display cases so that you can admire it every day while you're having your coffee. Every night while you're eating your dinner or sipping on a good German beer or something, you can admire those vehicles that you bought. And that's another thing. A true collector does not keep their diecasts in the package. No, they don't. The only people that do that are people that are hoping or that are thinking that if I keep them in the package, they're going to be worth more when I sell them in the future. No. A true collector like myself and like many of you, we actually take the vehicles out of the package and we put them in display case. You don't have any display cases? You're not a true collector. All true collectors have display cases. If you're going to be spending all this money on diecast vehicles, because keep in mind, you'll probably wind up spending a few $1,000s on diecast vehicles. You'll spend a lot of money before you even realize it, how much money you spent on these little toy cars. You want to invest in nice display cases that have a nice that slides down or it closes in front of it to keep the dust off your collection. You want to invest in display cases or build your own. They're not that hard to make. Okay? You want to invest in a nice display case or several display cases. That's the only way to really enjoy the diecast collecting hobby. You need to have your own display cases. So you take them out of the package, you put them in a display case, you have light spotlights shining on them, you know. You can really enjoy them and look at them and enjoy them. Anyway, I don't want to bore you with a long, lengthy video, but I thought that I would talk a little bit about my own experiences with Matchbox and diecast collecting in general. You know, how I got started, you know, and the crazy toy collecting decade of the 90s, you know, what happened back then. And to give you some pointers, you know, for both those of you that want to buy to resell, okay, and for those of you that want to get into the diecast collecting hobby as a hobby because you like the vehicles, you know, you want to look at them and enjoy them and admire them and stuff like that, you know. So, yeah. Anyway, I want to welcome you to my channel, and if you're into Matchbox vehicles and other diecast vehicles, I think you're really going to enjoy my channel. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It really helps me out. And it also shows me that you are interested in my content and you like what you're seeing. And that will give me the incentive to continue creating more content in the upcoming years for you to enjoy. Okay, so anyway, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. My name is Hans George Campbell, and until next time.